Hi everyone, my name is Devat Solanki. I'm third year PhD student at University of Houston. My thesis advisor is Dr. Brankovic. And today I'm going to talk about the prospect of electroless atomic layer deposition for applications in semiconductor technology. The co-author of this talk are Nikhil and Doncheng. Both of them are alumni of Dr. Brankovic research group from University of Houston, and ESD and Aniruddha are from Lam Research. In this talk, I'm going to start with motivation for electroless deposition and its advantages over conventional methods of electrodeposition or classical vapor deposition methods. And then I'm going to talk about three examples of electroless deposition. First one is electroless copper deposition on zinc-capped cobalt substrate. I will talk about experimental protocol as well as the results. Next project I would be talking about is in situ surface reflectivity measurement setup, which we have designed at University of Houston for electroless deposition, which can serve as a tool for process control and process monitoring. Next project I'm going to talk about is electroless rhodium deposition on gold via lead SLRR, and then I will conclude with remarks and acknowledgement. So the first question is that what is the motivation for electroless approach and why should we need to study alternate deposition methods comparing to what we currently have? There are certain issues with classical vapor or atomic layer deposition methods. First one is huge initial cost for equipment, generally in terms of millions of dollars. And all of these processes are performed at ultra high vacuum and elevated temperature. So the process control is also not trivial. With these factors in mind, our research group have previously studied electroless deposition as shown in these two publications here. And the conclusion of those previous work done is that there are certain advantages of solution-based electroless atomic layer deposition over conventional methods, which are they are highly cost effective. The only thing we need is an inert or oxygen-free atmosphere. They are efficient at room temperature, and as one of these projects today I'm going to talk about, we have demonstrated that we can show corrosion inhibition of less noble substrate during electroless deposition, which is not easy to manage even in case of classical electroplating methods. Now, the first project I'm going to talk about is electroless copper deposition on zinc-capped cobalt substrate. So, there are several transitional metals like cobalt or rhodium which are being explored these days as a barrier layer for copper interconnect metallization. These new materials like cobalt or rhodium as a barrier layer could improve adhesion between copper and oxide or dielectric substrate, and they provide very good diffusion barrier for copper with very little as little as 3 to 5 nanometer thickness of the metal itself. However, there are several issues with this approach. First problem is that once cobalt is deposited in the PVD chamber and once it is taken out, the surface would oxidize before electrodeposition of copper. So the removal of the surface oxide of the cobalt is not so trivial. And since we have very little thickness, about 3 to 5 nanometer, any removal of this oxide layer could compromise the thickness and it could lead to disconformity of the barrier layer. So one of the solutions for this problem as proposed by Joy from Lam Research in previous publication and pattern shown here is that they deposit a zinc layer in PVD chamber right after cobalt deposition. So this zinc layer serves as a passive layer and it prevents oxidation of cobalt. But there is another challenge now that we need to remove this zinc for copper metallization. So the aim of this project is to deposit a very thin copper layer on top of this cobalt with removal of zinc so that this copper layer can serve as a seed layer for further electroplating. So the process schematics are shown here. First, we start with cobalt and then we deposit zinc. And once the wafer is taken out of the PVD chamber, there would be zinc oxide present on the surface. So our work at University of Houston starts from this step. First, we need to reduce this zinc oxide to the metallic zinc so that it could be replaced with copper. During this, so these are the critical parameters which we need to control in order to have high efficiency of the process. First step is reduction of zinc oxide. Next step is the pH of the solution. All of these experiments are optimized at a pH of 5 and 6. So the copper stability at near neutral pH is not that good, and that's why we are introducing EDTA complex, which can form complex with copper ions and prevents copper hydroxide precipitation in the aqueous-based solution. So once surface of this zinc is reduced and once we have metallic zinc present on the surface, we bring this sample to the aqueous-based solution which contains copper ions. At this point, there would be galvanic displacement between copper and zinc, and as copper being more noble than zinc, it would displace all of the zinc from the surface and deposit here. Now, some of the another variable which needs to be controlled here is the uh, corrosion of the cobalt layer. Since copper is more noble than cobalt, if all of the zinc is consumed and we don't stop the process at this point, we would have compromised all the cobalt as well by galvanic displacement. So for that reason, we introduced BTA in the solution, which prevents cobalt corrosion or works as a cobalt corrosion inhibitor. And layer of PTA protects surface, and in the end we can have copper on top of the cobalt. Now I would like to share some of the experimental results for this project. The graph here on the left side of the screen shows open circuit potential during copper displacement or copper deposition process. And as we can notice that initially open circuit potential is low and it increases, but the final value of the open circuit potential at the end of 60 seconds is stable near cobalt reversible potential. So with this, we can be sure that since potential is less than cobalt reversible, we are not going to etch out cobalt from the system. And graph B shows XPS results where we can see cobalt peak as well. These four images on the right side shows SEM of the substrate after copper deposition, and we can notice that there is a continuous film of copper with almost full coverage throughout the sample. This slide shows a cross-section TEM EDS analysis for the substrate after copper deposition. And we can notice that there is a continuous copper layer after deposition on top of cobalt. And cobalt layer is completely intact and there is no corrosion of the cobalt layer observed. And then tantalum and silicon layer and so on the wafer substrate. So this proves the point that we are able to deposit copper by replacement of zinc while keeping the cobalt layer intact underneath. Now, unlike conventional electrodeposition methods where we can have idea about the process output by looking at current or potential transient, for electroless depositions, generally they are performed on a samples which are complex in a size. So measuring open circuit potential is not an option or not a possibility all the time. So this serves as a motivation for us to develop some tools or characterization methods with which we can monitor deposition of electrolysis process or which could serve as a process controlling tools. So with these factors in mind, we have developed this customized setup at University of Houston, which is based on surface reflectivity of the sample during deposition. So here is a CCD camera and this is light source. So we illuminate sample as shown here with a light source and then we capture reflectivity from the surface. And this LabVIEW code designed at the University of Houston allows us to control electrolysis deposition processes as well as we can see reflectivity from the sample here in this image. So with help of this tool, we can evaluate surface reflectivity changes during deposition of electrolysis process. Now, after development of this setup, we evaluated it with two different types of experiment. First step is where we deposit copper on top of copper substrate. So we would have homoepitaxial deposition. So the protocol is that we initially form a lead monolayer on the substrate by electrolysis deposition for 15 seconds, and then we rinse the sample for 2 seconds. And then the next step is when the substrate is exposed to the solution which contains copper ions. So during this SLRR step for 60 seconds, copper ions would replace lead, and then we would form a copper monolayer on top of copper substrate. So this completes one cycle and it is repeated 75 times. An overall reflectivity trend for this 75 cycle is shown here in this graph on the left side of the screen. So we can notice from the graph that surface reflectivity is decreasing from starting to end of 75 cycles. And these images are AFM images for the same substrate at different intervals. And we can notice that from pristine copper to 75th cycle, we see surface being rough due to this electroless deposition cycles. And the roughness is shown here on the right side of the graph with these blue circles. So overall, the trend we can observe is that as we deposit copper on top of copper, surface becomes more rough. So there is increase in surface roughness, and at the same time, there is a decrease in surface reflectivity. And this graph here shows a zoom in version of any of these 75 cycles. And we can notice here that the setup is able to distinguish between the reflectivity changes after SLRR cycles or after lead monolayer formation. And this gives us an idea about sensitivity of the setup as well. So overall, in general, this setup helps us to monitor the electrolysis deposition process in situ when we cannot have any electrical connections or the cases where we are not able to measure open circuit potential. Now as a second part of the evaluation process for this setup, we demonstrate homoepitaxial deposition and sensitivity of the setup for the same as well. So we deposit rhodium on gold via SLRR of lead monolayer. So as shown in these schematics, we start with a gold substrate and then we expose this gold substrate to solution which contains lead and vanadium ions. So vanadium ions serve as a reducing agent for lead and we end up with a lead monolayer on the gold substrate. Now, this lead monolayer on a gold substrate is exposed to the aqueous phase solution which contains rhodium ions. And during this step, we have SLRR reaction and then results as a rhodium monolayer on top of gold. And this cycle could be repeated several times to get higher thickness of the rhodium on top of the gold. So, in terms of results for this experiments, here graph A shows open circuit potential for rhodium electrolysis deposition from cycle number 1 to 20. And we can notice that eventually open circuit potential is decreasing as we start to deposit more and more rhodium on top. This graph B here shows that rhodium, which we have deposited by electrolysis atomic layer deposition method, is catalytically active. And the graph C shows roughness from pristine gold to after 20 cycles of rhodium deposition. So we observe similar trend that surface roughness is increasing after a few deposition cycles. And at the same time, surface reflectivity is decreasing as well. And from the SEM images, we can see that there is a continuous film of rhodium with a full coverage on entire substrate. Now this slide here shows STM images for the pristine gold substrate as well as after rhodium deposition. And we can notice that the grains of the gold are covered with smaller grains of rhodium after deposition. So to conclude this talk, in general, we have demonstrated various electrolysis deposition methods which could serve as an alternative to current electrochemical or vacuum deposition techniques which are being used in semiconductor industry. For the first project, we have showed that electrolysis copper deposition on the cobalt substrate by replacement of zinc can serve as a seed layer for further copper metallization process. And elemental analysis indicate that there is a continuous copper film after dissolution of zinc. And we have also demonstrated corrosion inhibition of cobalt in the same system. We have developed in situ surface reflectivity measurement setup at University of Houston, which serves as a tool to monitor surface roughness evolution during various electrolysis deposition process, whether being homoepitaxial deposition or heteroepitaxial deposition. And we have proved this with electrolysis rhodium deposition on gold, as well as electrolysis copper deposition on copper. And in terms of rhodium deposition, we have demonstrated that we can deposit catalytically active rhodium with a few cycles of the electrolysis deposition as well. Overall, the decrease in surface reflectivity with increase in surface roughness for all the experiments is verified by AFM and STM. So with this, I would like to wrap up the talk, and we wish to acknowledge fundings and grant from Lam Research Corporation for these projects, and I would be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.